Hello, you gorgeous people. How are you? Right. I'm going to talk about loneliness, and I'm going to talk about loneliness in the context of this current, excuse me, pandemic. Now, last night I had a bit of a pity party, and I was feeling sorry for myself, which I'm sure many of you can relate to. And of course, there are so many people so much worse off. And I totally get that. And normally I try to practice gratitude and yeah, I try and make the best of things anyway. But last night had a bit of a crash, and it's my granddaughter's third birthday today, and I can't be there. And I felt really sad. And the poor little mite has had her party cancelled, although I'm sure her parents will try and schedule something for when this is all over. But last night I wrote a post on Facebook being honest about how I felt. And I got an outpouring of love and concern and hugs and suggestions from all my wonderful female friends. Yeah, I had to think about that because I have got some male friends, but actually it was the responses were all from women. So when this is over, I'm going to be doing a tour of the country, collecting all the hugs I've been promised. But let's talk about loneliness. Now, for quite some time, I've been wondering whether I was actually an introvert or an extrovert, because I definitely need time alone. I enjoy my own company. I enjoy doing things on my own. And I'm pretty self-sufficient. But after 2 weeks of it, I need company. And I need physical contact. I need hugs. And I find it very difficult that the only people that are physically, the only beings that are physically with me are my animals. And I think there's a great joke going around on Facebook at the moment. Somebody said they've been talking to a spider, and he was a very interesting chap because he's actually a web designer. And you've probably heard it, but do you know, I'm talking to the hens, I'm talking to the cats, I'm talking to Nell the dog, and as you can imagine, there's no response. And I am actually finding this really tough. And it's not that I haven't got a lot to do, because I have. You know, there's decorating to do, there's a huge garden that needs sorting, there's outbuildings to sort, there's decluttering to do, books to read, films to watch, things to see. You know, I mean, I've got a list as long as your arm. But I think loneliness in the context of what's going on now and mental health is deeply, deeply worrying, because there are just so many blocks to the strategies that people would have employed. Now, I don't often get lonely. As I said, I'm usually pretty good with my own company, but definitely getting cabin fever now after 2 weeks. And what would I normally do? So I can still go for a walk. I don't meet anyone because it's very remote where I live, and I just walk across the fields with Nell. But I'd probably ring one of my girlfriends up or my mum and meet them for a coffee somewhere, and we'd have a chat, maybe go and see a film or out for a bite to eat. I go and visit with my son, my oldest son, and his wife, and my 2 granddaughters, and I absolutely love the time that I get to spend with them. Sadly, I see less of my other 2 sons because they're in Sheffield, but you know, we chat. But it's somehow this enforced isolation that makes everything very different, because normally you'd be alone because you were choosing to be alone, and you'd go out when you felt like it. And now I can't, and I am lucky. I have got a garden, and it does need a lot of work, but I'm not stuck in a flat in a high-rise block with no access to outside, and that must be absolutely awful. So there's all these things online which are fantastic. They're great. You know, you can go and visit an art gallery, and you could stream a live opera. You could see a play. I've even got a friend from my Milton Keynes days, Kate, whose son Sean is principal soloist for the Northern Ballet, and Sean and his friend are currently putting things online for people to watch, dancing from their flat, which I'm definitely going to check up later. There are free courses that you can do. I mean, there is so much. But actually, I think that what that misses is our need as human beings for human contact. Somebody there with you to respond to you, and for that physical contact, you know, even pecking on the cheeks and giving a hug like you do to your mates. I'm not talking about intimacy, I'm just talking about the everyday touch. And I think, you know, this is what it is like for a lot of our older people who are no longer able to go out socially like they used to for whatever reason. I have one neighbour who is pretty much housebound, and apart from visiting her with one of my hens every now and again, because she grew up on a farm and loves the hens to visit, I'd never really thought about how awful that situation is. And I can really understand how loneliness can lead to suicidal ideation, and ultimately to perhaps people thinking and going down that very black path. And so I would just love your comments. I know we have WhatsApp video and we have Skype, and my friend Annalise, her suggestion was I cook a dinner party for 4 or 6 people, I lay the table properly, and then I put their photographs in the place where they would be. So, and I've often heard that suggestion, you know, if you had a dinner party and you could invite anyone, living or dead, who would you invite? So, you know, I could set up my table, and I could have, who would I have there? Marilyn Monroe, perhaps, Trotsky, Nelson Mandela, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Satish Kumar, who is my hero and still living, Genghis Khan, might be good for a laugh. You know, there's all sorts of people I would like to have a conversation with. Catherine of Aragon would be one. But I can't, even if I put their pictures, come on, Annalise, even if I put their pictures around the table, I can't really have a conversation with them, because how do I know what they would reply? And then really I am going to be going down the madness route. The young son, I say young, he's in his 20s now, of a very old dear friend of mine called Will Gray, writes music with his friends, and they are, do you know, I've forgotten the name of their group, the Earl Grey Collective, something like that. And I listened to some of their music yesterday, and I just found it absolutely wonderful. It just, you know, for a while just took away that awful hollow emptiness, and I felt a sense of connectedness. And that is what we need, isn't it, as human beings? So I'm throwing the gauntlet out. How do we connect authentically during this lockdown? Because I am finding it tough. So I would really welcome your ideas, your thoughts, your suggestions about how we can reach out to each other, but particularly, I think, those people who are living alone. And I know that in some ways there's a privilege, and I'm sure there are people out there who would quite love to be in my position rather than the position in which they find themselves. But hey, you know, it's not all roses. And so, in the spirit of community and pulling together, I'd really like to know, I'd welcome your thoughts and suggestions of how we can get through this together. Anyway, my darlings, you take care. I love you lots, and stay safe. Stay in. And yeah, I just really hope that you're okay. And I send blessings your way. Okay. Bye for now.